When we're reading a poem applying the tipcast, one of the things that we have to do first is to paraphrase the entire poem, meaning that we're going to put it into our own words, or at least largely into our own words, so that we can have a good grasp of basically what the poet is saying. And so we want to start to zero in on keywords that the poet is using. And so in this poem at the beginning, we see repetition of the learned astronomer from the first line and the title. So we get the feeling that, or we get the idea, the experience that the poet is in a sort of a lesson or a learning environment. And when he mentions the figures, the proofs, the columns, the charts that are in front of him, we can understand that he's talking about some sort of science or math. He uses this word ranged, which may seem unfamiliar to us. It may be an archaic version of arranged. And so he sees these things all laid out in front of him. We go on to see that this astronomer, who is honored with applause at the end of this lecture, in his lecture room, is some sort of great figure or professor. So we have more information that this is some kind of a lesson. And we might be thinking, exactly why is he here? Or what is he trying to learn about? Who is he? Who is this astronomer? And wondering where the poem is going to take us. So then when we get to the fifth line, we see that the poet tells us he becomes tired and sick, unaccountably so, in an unexplained fashion. He becomes tired and sick from sitting in this lecture, maybe something that you can relate to. But do notice that he's speaking in quite plain language when he narrates this experience of being ill in the lecture. After that, then he tells us that he left. He got up by himself and he left. Probably because he was sick, an important development or detail. When he goes outside, he goes into the night, and he describes it as mystical and moist. But very notably, when he goes outside, he mentions that he is looking up in perfect silence at the stars. And this is an important connection. It's the first time that he's mentioned stars, and he says that he is alone in his time outside looking at the stars.